Life doesn't pause when you're sick. Vaccines against respiratory illnesses can help protect you and give you more playtime with your best friend. Depending on age and health status, vaccinations for flu, COVID-19, RSV, or pneumococcal infection may be recommended. Vaccines can help keep you from having a rough time. Learn more at cveep.org/vaccines-protect. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and CVEEP, fighting infectious respiratory disease.
Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, November 13th, 2025. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, our friend Detlef Koertge joins us to talk about his quest to brew the perfect German lager. After a recent trip to Germany and a visit with a commercial lager brewer, Detlef has renewed enthusiasm to capture the beer styles of his birthplace. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing, and many thanks to everybody who's helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Financial supporters this week will see an early release of a very quick and delicious extract beer that I brewed. It's a reincarnation of my 15-minute Saison. I changed it up a little bit. This is a beer brewed with liquid malt extract and just a quarter-hour boil. That made for a pretty hectic brew day. Not a lot of time to dawdle. Financial supporters will also get the recipe and a behind-the-scenes video that shows the challenges of getting all the liquid malt extract out of the containers, especially when one of the extracts was a little long in the tooth. No spoilers. Hey, we're sneaking up on disaster show time. I've got a handful of stories in the file already. Will we have enough for a full show this year? If you've got a brewing disaster that you want to share with us, send it as soon as you can. The end of the year will be here before you know it. Send your stories of brewing gone wrong to james@basicbrewing.com. I mentioned last time about the Nogno porter clone that I was planning on brewing. Well, I did. I did brew it, and it's in the bottle already. I'm really proud of myself because I took the recipe that Tom Young sent from Nogno, and I adapted it to my system, and I think I got pretty close. According to the numbers, I got spot on. Original gravity was 1067, final gravity 1016, so it's going to be nice and chewy. An ABV of 6.7%, so it'll be warming in the colder months. I bottled it because I don't have a free keg right now, and I think that this will be a good candidate to lay down for a bit in the basement in the bottle to see how it ages. Plus, it'll make a good Christmas present from my beer-loving friends. So, I brewed that beer with A10 Darkness from our friends and sponsors at Imperial Yeast. Darkness is the featured yeast from Imperial. It's wonderful for brewing big, roasty, rich beers for wintertime. It's got high alcohol tolerance, so you can go big with no worries with those big dark beers. With 200 billion cells in each easy-to-open package of Imperial yeast, my stir plate is usually dusty because I don't use it anymore to make starters for moderate gravity ales and sometimes even lagers. This time I did make a starter because the packet that I had in the beer fridge of A10, A10 was 3 months old. And this beer was pretty high in gravity. So, but you know, I bet I could have gotten away without a starter, though, because the 1 liter starter was done in less than a day. It was And after pitching the starter, my big dark beer was bubbling before bedtime. And we bottled a week later. Ask your local homebrew shop about A10 Darkness from Imperial Yeast and check out all the dependable deliciousness at imperialyeast.com. It's imperialyeast.com. Okay, let's go to Detlef's house with Steve Wilkes, his neighbor, to taste a couple of delicious ales and to find out the next steps in Detlef's lager journey. Detlef Koertge, welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
Well, thank you for having me again.
And thanks for having us in your house.
Well, it's my pleasure.
We're here around your dining room table. Straight across from me is Mr. Steve Wilkes.
Hi, James and Detlef.
We're here in your neighborhood as well. You live not too far from
right across the street.
And, you could pick worse neighbors, for sure.
Absolutely.
We want to talk about the general thrust of the conversation is going to be lagers, especially from a German perspective. And since you are a German and you you have recently visited a lager brewery, I want to talk about that as well. And you're in the middle of doing some upgrades to your home brewing equipment. So that's kind of like the line of topics. But we're here in front of it. We've got this beautiful brown beer in front of us in these long glasses. What have we got going here, Detlef?
Yeah, so this is my attempt on making a very traditional brew from southern Bavaria, Munich, basically all over the place in Bavaria, not Germany. Dark beers are mostly in the southern part. And so this is called a Münchner Dunkel or a Munich Dunkel, which is a Munich dark beer. And so I was doing some research on German websites, German breweries, Hofbräuhaus, and other breweries. And some of them are actually nice enough to put out some of their recipes, not exactly the amount of ingredients, but what malts they use, what hops they use, and maybe even about the method, if it's a decoction or an infusion that they brew with. And so I went through all this information and then found also some BJCP recipes that went into that direction, looked at those, looked at the Palmer book, what he had to say about it. So then I put all this together and I came up with my recipe, which is basically Munich malt, 60 Lovibond caramel malt, and tiny little bit of Black Prince.
So is this the light Munich?
That's the main ingredient is 10-pound dark Munich.
Oh, dark Munich. Okay.
Yeah. So it's 10-pound dark Munich, 1 pound caramel 60, and 2 ounces of Black Prince.
And did you use German malt like Weyermann, or did you use?
Yes, the Munich malt was actually an avant-garde.
Avant-garde.
Yes. So yeah, it's a fairly simple recipe, and the Black Prince I just put in there because I wanted it a little darker. Black Prince 2 ounce doesn't really add anything for the taste.
Right.
And the Black Prince is nice because it doesn't have holes, so you don't get any bittering. You know? So that's the basic recipe.
And hops wise,
we are again very traditional. We have 2 additions. At 60 minutes, an ounce of Hallertau Pearl or Perle. Then 1 ounce of German Tradition and 1 ounce of Select Spalt at 10 minutes. So, and I think I just did that 1 ounce and 1 ounce of Spalt and Tradition together because I had them in the freezer, left over from my 2 ounce packet.
Sure.
And but they were about in the same area of bittering. Alpha acids 4.5 and 3.7. So, and the Perle was at 6.4.
Okay.
So it's the traditional dark beer is not bitter at all. It is supposed to have more of a sweet character to it. That's supposed where it's coming out, and obviously a malt character. And then since I still was in the area of being too warm in my garage, I fermented at ale temperatures using the SO4 yeast.
Okay.
I went down to 66 for the fermenting, so to the lower end. I think they recommend not to go lower than 64. So I fermented at 66. Yeah, and it was 1 package of the Fermentis SO4, which I usually just sprinkle on top of the, when the fermenter is filling up, just sprinkle it there and let it just disappears into the wort.
Right, just naturally.
Yeah.
It's an SO4 is, that's an English yeast, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
So, but you're fermenting it, near, I guess, the lower end of its range, so it probably wouldn't be as expressive,
Right.
as if you had fermented it at a higher temperature range.
Correct. Yeah. So that was the idea when I went to the lower end, to basically don't get too much of that yeast character. Because this is supposed to be a lager, but
Right.
it was still too warm out there in my garage, and I couldn't get it to we get to that later, about what I learned when I toured the Weltenburger brewery. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out. It's not exactly the same what I'm used to because we actually had that very beer there at the brewery, but it's close.
Yeah, your palate is more trained, toward the lagers than ours are,
For sure.
But the first time we had this beer, we had just gone up to Natural State, which they're an award-winning brewery and they do mostly lagers up there, and their beers were good. The samples that we had were good, but then we came down here and tasted this beer, and I don't know about you, Steve, but I was equally as impressed with this beer, if not a little more so. I like this beer quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. And I agree with what you say. For whatever reason, and I'm not disparaging Natural States. I don't mean it like that.
No, they're
but
very
their
good.
beer was very good. But this one just has a little. It just had a little more body. Just something a little more about it, and I enjoy that. Now, whether that's exactly true to style, I don't know. But it just goes. You can make as good a beer at home as you can at a brewery.
For sure.
That's what it
Talk about what you're getting when you taste this beer. It's a beautiful beer. You can see the foam is clean to the side of the glass.
Yep.
But talk about what you're tasting.
I get a little tiny bit of brown sugary notes. So the malt character is coming through really nicely. It's roasty and toasty as opposed to clean and crisp. It is clean and it is relatively crisp, but it does have a good mouth. There's a nice little. It's a little viscous, when I drink it, and then there's a little residual left. It's not like. I had a Bitburger the other day. A Bitburger is maybe my favorite German pils, and so I had one, and it's great. Boy, you want to talk about a palate cleanser? It's like stripping paint out. This is not that. This leaves a little something behind, and it's really nice and kind of warming. It's a great fall beer. Great beer for this time of year.
Yeah, it's very. It's got kind of a bready quality to it in a good way, and yeah, It's not super dry, but it is very clean on my palate. It's not cloying, at the end of it. But there is kind of a little bit of, I think you said brown sugar or like a raisin,
a little raisiny, a little that burnt sugar, stone fruit kind of thing, but really light. And actually, it almost feels a little reminiscent of, or tastes a little reminiscent to me of like an English mild. It's got that, or it even goes so far as to say that it reminds me of a Newcastle brown ale. But I'm just trying to draw relationships that listeners can go, okay,
right.
I've had that beer before.
Right. But I think if you told me it was a lager, I might be fooled.
Yeah. No, this was one of the reasons I remember now why I picked the SO4, because it has not as much attenuation. So it leaves more residual sugars. So
what was your finishing gravity?
So we had, let me see, I got to go to the batch here.
I'm going to say, 10-10 maybe? I'm just guessing.
So this one went to, it was actually, the final gravity was 10-14.
Oh my,
Yeah.
wow.
I was going to guess 10-12, but
So I started with 10-54 and original, and then 10-14 final. So you see, there's still
it doesn't taste that chewy to me. It doesn't taste that high of a finishing gravity to me. Very nice.
So yeah, this was one of the reasons why I picked the SO4, because it doesn't have that much of an attenuation. That was one of the ideas why I went there, because I knew it's an English ale yeast, but it did the trick. And then one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about it. I did my traditional process, the dough in and the protein rest and stuff. So 95 Fahrenheit dough in, 125 protein, 143 first rest, 162 second rest, both for 30 minutes, and then mash out at 172.
Wow.
But I don't have to do anything because my kettle does that all for me.
I was going to say, we can remind people, you've been on the show a few times and talked about it each time, but somebody may be new to the show. Talk about your system. It's an all-in-one system. It's programmable. So, it gives you a lot of flexibility to set it and forget it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so that whole process, I program it. And I check usually at the protein rest so that I don't have a stuck mash, so that the circulation works. And then I just let it go. And then at some point it starts ringing. And then I have to come and do my sparge.
So what is this missing that a true lager would or wouldn't have?
Now that this beer is now 2 weeks old in the keg. It's like you said, it almost fools me to be a lager. I would say this is really hard to say what is it missing. I think the lager has a little bit less of that ale character, where you get that kind of fruitiness from the yeast, maybe a little less. But else, this is as close as it gets.
Yeah, it's really good. Steve's is all gone.
Yeah, I sampled mine to the bitter end.
Well, you need to be thorough.
I did. I wanted to make sure that the Belgian lacing would stand up to time.
Oh, and it does. But you have aspirations to be more of a lager brewer,
right? Yeah.
And does some of that come from your visit to the brewery in Germany?
No, that's probably the nerd or the geek in me. Obviously, I come from Germany, and most of the beers there are lager. There are a few ales, like Hahn and Alt is one of the famous ones in Germany. And then obviously Weizenbier is a ale. Kölsch is one. And but the Weizen is very popular in Bavaria. Hahn and Alt and Kölsch, or Kölsch obviously more in the northern part of Germany, and so is Hahn and Alt. I was just buying cans of beer here, from local breweries when they say lager, and I've always felt that they don't taste like the lager in Germany. So I'm on that crusade to figure out why. Yeah. Because I think they do a lager process. I think they use lager yeast when they brew those. So I'm trying to figure out what makes the difference to a German lager yeast, lager beer.
I would bet that there are probably not many local breweries around here that do a step mash. They're probably single infusion, single temperature in. Maybe bring it up for a mash out. I don't know. Yeah. But so that might be one indication there. But maybe one reason why yours tastes lager-ish in that it went through that complicated, step mash procedure. But talk about your visit to the brewery. Which brewery did you go to?
So we were in Germany this year to visit my family, and did some traveling around. And one of the famous breweries in Bavaria is called Weltenburger Klosterbrauerei, which is a monastery. And it's recorded as the oldest brewery. It was founded, or it was starting to be commercial in 1050.
Oh, wow.
So
that's 16 years before the Battle of Hastings. Just for
and they started actually brewing way before that. So,
wow.
But 1050 is when they started actually doing it commercially, selling their beer. And so I have been to Weltenburg many times before when I was still living in Germany, and this time I had the chance to do the brewery tour. On site there, the brewery is fairly small. I forgot the exact size, but I think it's maybe 10 barrels or so.
Oh, my.
They have they kind of outsource some of their brewing. They only make their real traditional brews there. They have a beer called 1050, which is one of the original ones, and then this Dunkel beer, but they make there. And they actually have a pipeline from the brewery directly into their beer garden, so they you can get it there right from the tank.
Wow!
And so they're small, and then they outsource some stuff to other commercial breweries. Specifically, they also have a alcohol-free beer now, and they don't have the equipment to do that. With the evaporation and whatever they do to get the alcohol out. So so they have I don't exactly recall, but 8 or 10 different beers, and they only make 3 or 4 there on site. Fairly small brewery. They do a step mash infusion, not a decoction, for their beers, and they get all their hops from local there, from the Hallertau, and their yeast from Weihenstephan, from the Weihenstephan lab. I asked, when we did the tour, I asked a lot of questions. He was always looking at me like, how do you know these things? And eventually I said, I'm a home brewer. So I asked him if they harvest their yeast. And he said, no, for quality reasons they don't, because you get a variation. So they always buy fresh from Weihenstephan. And then after we went, we were in the brew house with a mash tun, and then they have a lauter tank. And we went down into the cellar, because that's where they lager the beer. There were the fermentation tanks. And so I asked him, so what are the temperatures here? And because I'm trying to brew lager beer, and I'm fermenting usually around 64, 65, and he just started laughing at me. He said, you can't brew a lager beer at 64, 65. Our temp is 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. Which is what, 15C?
15C, yeah. So, it was interesting. So, yeah, that's where they ferment, and they don't actually do a diacetyl rest where they raise the temperature. They go from there right into the lager, where it's at lagering at 39, 40.
So it must be in that initial fermentation phase for long enough to clean up any diacetyl off flavors.
Did you happen to find out how long they store the beer for?
6 weeks to 3 months. Depends on which beer.
Post-fermentation.
Post-fermentation,
yeah.
So, and they have this huge tank, and the temperature in that cellar, the room temperature was, I think, 60, and then the tanks are glycol chilled to get to that temperature. So it was interesting discussion, and it was. We had at the end we had a tasting there. We had that Dunkel and we had the 1050, and those are good beers.
Especially fresh from the source right there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm envious.
If you ever get there, I mean, it's just about, I'd say, about an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to get to that monastery. It's a very interesting place. The monastery itself, the church there, or the chapel. You can visit all those. And I was lucky with the tour because I did not book the tour in advance. But when we got there, he had 2 seats open. So we were able to get in.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. So I'm continuing on my search for the lager beer to see if I can manage this. I mean, my biggest challenge is just to get the temperature down to 50 now.
Mm-hmm. But you're working on that.
Yeah. Because I have this system where I have water in my kegerator that is at 38, which I can pump through the fermenter. But at 50, I only have 10 to 12 degrees difference. And if the garage is at 85, that doesn't work.
Yeah. So you become a seasonal lager brewer, or you buy extra toys. You buy extra equipment. And I think you're onto that path now.
Yeah, actually, I looked. My fermenter is from SS Brewtech, and I don't get paid by them to say that. But it was just my choice to get that conical fermenter. It's the cheapest one they have, and it has this cooling coil inside where you can pump water or glycol through. And they have a glycol chiller, but it's $850.
You can buy a lot of lager beer for that.
I know. So I said, so what are the other options? And then I looked, the usual Google search, DIY glycol chiller, and there's a lot of projects out there using a window unit,
Right.
AC window unit.
Oh, yeah.
5,000 BTU, so the smallest one you can get.
Yeah,
And
I think that Dave and Desiree at High Gravity in Tulsa had a system that was based on a sort of disassembled window unit.
So yeah,
and it worked.
it's so I bought one of those after searching it on Marketplace and Craigslist, where they sell used ones for $150. I decided to buy one for $120 at Amazon. A new one. And you need to get one that doesn't have digital controls, because otherwise they're hard to convert, because those digital things kind of are all wired in, and so it's just a simple one that has a knob,
Right.
Where it's on or off.
I'm embarrassed to. You're an electrical engineer, so I'm embarrassed to throw out. Is it a rheostat? Is that what it is? Or or a potentiometer?
No, it's basically there's a switch in there that basically can where you can set the temperature, and there's just a little thermal sensor in there, and inside that switch, the switch just goes on and off and turns it on and off for the room temperature. That's all it is,
Okay.
And that's what you want, because for that purpose, when you want to use it as a cooler, you just let it run at full power all the time. And so basically you measure the temperature in your fermenter, and then with a kind of a plus minus 1 degree, you turn that thing on or off. Mm-hmm. It's basically how it works. So I got the AC unit. I disassembled it. There are 2 fans in there. One is blowing through the hot side, one is blowing through the cold side, And so the fan on the cold side, I have to take out. And then you have that coil there. Now that coil needs to go into the tank. And the most DIY projects that I found, they just use a cooler and put that coil in there and then fill it up with water and then
like
pump
an
that
insulated water. Drink cooler or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But I wanted to keep it small. So my next thing is I found a place where they can cut me plexiglass. So I make a little aquarium, so to speak, where that coil goes in, and then I just hooked it up to a pump. So I need to order this because, you kind of need to glue it together so that it's kind of like a tank. And if you don't have nice edges, then it's kind of hard. So I had to find a place where they can cut it to size.
And are you actually using glycol, or are you going to use just water as the liquid?
I don't know yet. I mean, if I do, I will probably use that RV antifreeze. The pink stuff that goes into the RV, not the blue stuff that goes in the car.
Yeah. The pink stuff is not toxic.
Yeah, exactly.
For one.
So, and I don't know. I mean, some people who did the DIY stuff, they suggest a 50-50 antifreeze and water. So because you don't get to -20 or something like that, so you don't need all glycol. I don't know. I will give it a try once I have that little tank. The reason why I want to build that little tank is because I want to keep it all in the same form factor as the original AC.
Okay.
So that it's this box. You two know I don't have that much room here. So I want to just keep it in that size, so in that form factor. So that thing I can store just under the table and pull it out when I need it.
And so do you think that system will work in the hot weather as well as the cold?
Yeah. I mean, I did a test. I just put a little, not a Tupperware, tote around the coil. I mean, that thing cools it down. I mean, 5,000 BTU, you can cool it down a 200 square foot room.
Yeah.
So there's enough power.
So what temperature would the antifreeze or would the fluid get to?
Obviously, since it's circulating, it depends how hot the other end is, But when I did it, it was immediately down to 28.
Oh, okay.
And it would have probably gone even further down.
So plenty.
Yeah. So there would be enough difference then to keep it at 50, even in hot weather.
So then, once you've got that set up, are there any other links in your chain that you would like to improve on so that you can achieve, reliably repeatable lager brewing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so far I have not used lager yeast. So for that project, I already bought the Lallemand Diamond yeast. I was again looking, and it's supposed to be one of those Weihenstephan strains. So I want to use that. That would be the first step there, to see that what happens when I use real lager yeast instead of ale yeast. I did one time. I remember it was probably 2 years ago or so. I bought Mangrove Jack's lager yeast, and that didn't turn out well at all. It's supposed to be a lager yeast that ferments at higher temperatures.
Oh, I see.
It doesn't work. I guess the guy in Weltenburg is right.
Well, now, I think, Steve, you and I at one of the HomebrewCons took part in a triangle test with Brewlosophy, the Brewlosophy guys, and they had done an experiment, fermenting lager yeast at ale temperature, and we, in our uneducated palates, couldn't tell the difference. I have a feeling that Detlef might have a better chance at getting it right.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of a good analogy, and I can't. But lagers are so, in general, they're kind of subtle. I mean, the differences are very subtle, and to get one that's exactly that, the crispness and the sparkle that they have, that ales don't. But you're right, and we're not really lager drinkers, other than the yellow American fizzy stuff that we kind of grew up on, which are technically lagers. But
and I think that I have a feeling that a beer like this, which is delicious, but it's fairly flavorful in that the ingredients are prominent, and all those character that we're talking about, it would be easy for the differences between a lager and an ale to hide, I would think.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So one of the other things that just came to mind based on your question, what other things I want to try is, obviously and you two know that, brew always with my tap water, which is just filtered in a carbon filter system.
Yeah. And
then that would be the next step. Would be to work on water chemistry. I still haven't done it, but I will do this. I found out that the University of Arkansas has a water chemistry lab where you can drop off a liter of water, and then they tell you what's in there. So that would be the next step then, to find out what I have.
There's also Ward Labs, which I sent my water off to be tested, and so they give you your report back, and then you can put that in your brewing software, and then it'll figure out, it'll do the water chemistry adjustments. And of course, there's always distilled water as well.
That's what I've been doing lately. I've kind of gone to. I didn't think about water at all for a long time, other than just to filter it. And our water makes good beer. I mean, our local water makes good beer, but it's fairly hard. I think it makes really good, pale ales, lagers. Not lagers. I meant IPAs, those kind of things. But I don't think of it as a Pilsner water. It's not soft at all. And so, just for the heck of it, I started buying distilled water and then letting my brewing software tell me what additions I needed to do to brew that style. I don't know if my beer's any better or not, but it's kind of fun doing it.
You've been brewing some really good beers lately.
Well, thanks.
That IPA, that red IPA that is coming up on a video podcast or video show was really good. And you talk about a good malt character, that beer, and you're nodding your head.
He gave me a bottle of it, So
he gave me we drank one on the show, and then he left 3. Those have since left the earth. They were good, really good. So yeah, whatever you're doing is good.
So this one was obviously brewed with my tap water filtered through a carbon filter. So
and no water chemistry adjustments at all.
No.
Well, made a good beer.
I mean, that was one of the things also I did when we were living in Chicagoland. I mean, I just did the filter. I want to get out most of the chlorine. That's the most important part.
That's the main.
And else I just say, well, this is the world I live in. So let's see what I can do with it.
And you know that I use a pure water filter for my brewing water, but then we've got the Brita water pitcher in the refrigerator. And I know that it does take out the chlorine because I can set a glass of water on my nightstand, and in the morning it doesn't taste like a swimming pool.
Right.
When I grew, as I was growing up, you would, if you let your water get room temperature, you could taste the chlorine.
Yeah.
So you can tell that it's actually effective in doing that.
And here the water. I don't know if you noticed that here in Fayetteville, the water changes a little bit in taste over the seasons.
Oh yeah, when the lake turns over.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but when the lake turns over, you can taste, or used to before we started using the filter, you could taste like leaves, like dead leaves.
Oh, yeah. It's I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, but I believe it's a temperature inversion that happens.
Yeah.
And so the cold and hot switch places, and it brings all the flavor with it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Oak tea.
Yeah. So that would be then the next steps. And what I really want to do is now I have this recipe which I really like. I have a couple of other recipes which I really like, to keep the recipe exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
And just switch the yeast.
Yeah.
So that I just have one variable.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeast and the temperature.
Yeast and temperature that I have to deal with, because otherwise when you change all other things in the water and whatever around, then you don't know what did the trick.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What's that other beer that you're proud of?
Yeah. As we sit here in front of with our empty glasses in front of us.
Yeah, well, let's get that other beer.
Shall we have a pause that refreshes?
I believe we should have a pause
and then come back.
Excellent.
Yes.
We shall return, and you won't even know. Here we go. And we're back. We just ran into the garage, to the cooler, to the kegerator. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Can we reach across the table? Now, after you take your sip, tell us what we're sipping on here, Detlef.
Yeah, so this is it's called Fränkisches Rotbier, which basically translates into Franconian red beer. It's probably related somewhat to an Irish red. Again, it's supposed to be a lager. I brewed this one also with ale yeast, and now I have to look. I think this was also the SO4 yeast. Yep. Again, it was the same idea. I wanted to get less attenuation, kind of a little bit more of that mouthfeel. So this is a little lighter in color than the first one.
It's a little lighter in body as well on my palate. Mm-hmm.
It has a little bit more IPUs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little more assertive.
Mm-hmm. And the grain bill is obviously different. This one is one of those where I went a little bit overboard with 5 different ingredients. But again, this was the brewery called Schanzenbräu in my hometown Nuremberg. They were so nice to put down what kind of malts they use and what kind of hops they use. Again, not the amounts, but basically what's in there. So this one is just 8 pounds of 2-row brewer's malt from Briess, 1 pound caramel 40, 1 pound melanoiden, 8 ounce victory, because I like that biscuit taste, and again 2 ounces of black prince to get it a little darker, where I'm thinking I may leave that out next time, a little lighter color maybe, I don't know, but that's maybe one of the changes I may make. Hops are actually the same that I used in the other beer, but the timing is different. So this one starts also out with 1 ounce of pearly, but then the second edition is Select Spalt at 30 minutes, and then the third edition at 10 minutes Hallertau Tradition. So the second edition is earlier in the boil, which gives more IBUs.
Right, and you can tell the difference.
Yeah. So that's why I moved it up a little bit there, because I wanted a little bit more bitterness in this one. This is what I remember from drinking it in Germany, that this was a little bit more tart.
Yeah, well, it's crisp. It's more crisp than the first one. The first one is, on my palate, was leaned more toward the malt sweetness, obviously. And
Right.
this one is, I would be hard-pressed again to say that this wasn't a lager. Yeah. It's just super clean and crisp, and it seems more effervescent. I don't know if it's just a trick of the bitterness, but it seems more effervescent to me. It seems, sort of brighter and more sparkly.
It does to me too. Yeah.
Definitely is, yeah.
Yeah.
But the carbonation level is the same on both, right? Or
It's probably the same, yeah. I mean, I usually, we talked about this, I don't know, because brew father says, 3-4 days at 10 psi or something like that. I never get to the carbonation level that I want.
Right.
So I usually go 4 days at 30 psi, and then I turn it down to the psi 8 to 10 for serving.
Right.
And so it should be the same. I mean, because the temperature is the same and the pressure is the same, so it should be the same carbonation level.
It's a little more. It's a few shades lighter in color than the first one. It's got a nice. It's a beautiful beer as well. Steve, what are you tasting? You have any other notes that we haven't talked about?
Not really. I think I was struck by the in this beer there's an initial sweetness when it hits my palate, hits my tongue, and then there's kind of a humpo flavor, and it finishes very nice and clean. It doesn't leave a lot behind. The other beer was a little more luscious, I think, and so at the back end of it, it finished with a sweetness. I don't want to go so far as to say like candy, but with that same sense of how candy kind of finishes sweet in your mouth. This finishes much drier in my mouth, but there's a kind of a pronounced. If it was music, there'd be a pronounced frequency jump in the mid range.
Right. Well, that's a good analogy.
Yeah. So it's kind of pumped at that 4,000 kilohertz.
And then the tweeters come in a little bit.
Exactly.
On the top, that's that bitterness coming in. Yeah, I think it's just. I mean, this is a commercial level beer.
This is crushable.
Yeah.
That's my word of the day.
I mean, if I were to buy a 6-pack of this, from any brewery, I would be very happy and would be a repeat customer. I think it's very good. But again, are there any notes, Detlef, that you're picking up in making this beer this way that are different from the traditional example?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I could have bite myself here because I should have brought 1 or 2 bottles of that beer to really make a comparison, because I can't find it here. It's a very small brewery and they only sell local there.
Yeah.
I mean, they sell all over Nuremberg, but not outside, so they can't find it anywhere else. And I don't think they send it overseas. Like Weltenburger Klosterbier you can get here, even though it's like 3 times the price that we would pay in Germany for it.
Yeah, and I always worry about. I like to buy foreign European beers. But then I always think to myself as I'm drinking it, wow, this is really good. I wonder what it would be like if it was fresh.
Right.
And I will have no way to know,
Right.
here.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples of that is we were getting New Belgium's Fat Tire here in Arkansas for a while, and we were drinking that beer and liking it. And then Steve and I actually went to the brewery and got it, out of the taps in the tap room, and it was a completely different beer.
Yeah, and a billion times better.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, we were enjoying the Fat Tire that we were getting here, but compared to something fresh,
Right.
directly from the source that hadn't been sitting on someone's loading dock for, in the heat for a week or whatever, however it was treated, between there and here.
I find the same thing you have in Germany. If you buy, for example, a Munich Dunkel in the bottle, or you go to the Hofbräuhaus in Munich and get it there on the tap, it's even better there on the tap than what you get from the bottle. And I think they are very careful with shipping their beers and keeping them cool and whatever, But the bottled beer is always a notch, I don't want to say worse, but not as good as the fresh stuff that you get there on tap.
And some of that might be age, just simple. You don't know how long, the craft beers that I buy, sometimes, especially if they're from out of state, you look at the born on date and it's like, oh, wow, that's like 2 or 3 months ago this beer was born. And even if a beer is handled properly, it's gonna age. It's just that's the way it goes.
Especially if we're talking about lagers and in general lighter beers. You're not going to notice it so much in an Imperial IPA or something like that. But
although the hop character will change
definitely
on a big hoppy beer, for sure.
Yeah. Well, just in general, I've noticed that any time I go to a brewery and have their beer, even the 2 or 3 times in my life when I've done like big factory beer tours, like an Anheuser-Busch tour, and then you go to the tap room and you have it off their bright tanks. It's really, really good. It's like, oh man, I didn't know Budweiser tasted like that.
Now, when you say that about Budweiser, I mean, when you get it directly from the bright tank there, right, rather than out of the bottle, do they have when they get from the bright tank to the bottling stage, do they have a pasteurization in between?
I think, this is out of my league, but I think that they do. I'm pretty sure that's why that beer is so shelf stable. So, and when actually my Anheuser-Busch tour that I'm talking about, that was before I homebrewed. So I didn't really know anything about beer. I just remember getting there and going, oh, wow, this is Budweiser? So for whatever that's worth, which is also another argument for making your own beer.
Yeah. An uneducated person going through a brewery tour is a dangerous thing. I've actually had someone say, "Oh, you homebrew?" I went to some big brewery. They took us and showed us those big tanks. They get the dark beer off the bottom and the lighter beer comes off the top of that same tank. Isn't that interesting? I was like, yeah, it is. It is interesting. It's not true.
What is it like? They brew black and tan?
Exactly. And I've been through some brewery tours where the tour guide was mostly knowledgeable, but every now and then they'd say something and be like, and of course I wasn't going to say anything, but
we went through one time and it was the tour guide was not knowledgeable. It was. The person was saying things that weren't true.
Not maliciously.
No,
but just incorrectly.
Definitely not quite ready to do a tour.
Yeah. And I imagine that other people would have corrected them, but we were not that good. We were in a hurry to get to the end of the tour and have a sample.
Yeah.
Don't slow down the tour.
Yeah, the guy who did the tour at the Weltenburger Monastery Brewery, he was a former brewmaster.
Oh, well, he knew his stuff.
Yeah, so he wasn't anymore at that point. He was retired, but he knew his stuff.
Yeah.
And I imagine he was probably, did he look like he was interested in taking your questions? And
Oh, yeah.
I bet having a knowledgeable audience on something like that where he's he wants to share the information.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
good.
that was enjoyable.
Excellent.
So if I'm going to brew this beer, give me some tips on how to brew it properly.
Well, I mean, it's the same process that I did with the one before, which is the step mash. Let me see, where's the recipe here? And so it's these 95, 125, 142, and so on. I mean, I don't know if I really need the protein rest because the modern malts really don't call for it, but it's 10 minutes, so
Yeah. Why not?
and then so the main steps are the 143 and 162, both 30 minutes, and then to the mash out and sparge at 172. There's not much more to it, and you saw the hops. You use a lot of the noble hops too, Steve, in your brewing, the traditional addition kind of things. So yeah, I mean, it's Hallertau tradition, Spalt and Perle, so the German ones. And that's one thing I have to say. I just recently started with Brewmaster doing this. And what I like here is that you can really see now when I put the hops in, that I arrive at the IBUs that I want. That works really well there. So yeah, I mean, this is basically, I think the whole thing behind it is just, I mean, what I can think would be what you call the proper way is the step mash, right? And then whatever else is just straightforward,
And the only thing left then would be to pressurize your fermentation tank and brew under pressure. And of course, what kind of valve would you need if you were to do that, Detlef? A Spunding valve?
Oh yeah, a Spunding valve. Yeah, actually, I was at one point several years ago. I looked at the conical at SS Brewtech, which you can use to brew under pressure. But
I've had a beer.
I mean, it's nice because it also has that, I don't know what it is called, that valve at the bottom where you can get the yeast sludge out. So if you keep it for longer times in the tank, you can get the yeast out without emptying it and these things. But these suckers are like 500 and 700
Yeah. I think you're getting your money's worth right now in what you've got. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, this... I think the SS Brewtech I have now is about $200 with the coil,
Wow.
And the Klarstein, I told you, I send you both the link about they have them now on Vivor or whatever that is called. It looks almost exactly the same way I have for the $220.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm like, well, maybe I just need it. You can't. Maybe I should just buy one anyway.
So
I don't need it.
The Klarstein that I bought was, I think, $359 or $369, and it works well. I mean, it's the only thing better would be the 240 version because it heats quicker. So you save some time and you get probably a little bit better rolling boil. But I mean, the results that I get are okay. So
okay, yeah, I think
they're more than okay.
Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. I think we pretty much stayed on topic. We rambled a little bit there toward the end, but I think
there's a little old man ramble in there now and then.
Sure, you can't help, especially when you've had a 1.5 delicious beers. So, Detlef, thanks again for the hospitality and for sharing your beer and your knowledge, and I can't wait to see the results of the next phase of your experiments.
Okay, so before we get done, we have to do a very, very quick round table. You only get to say like 2 sentences.
Uh-oh.
What's your next project, James?
Oh! I'm going to brew the Nogno Porter, the Norwegian Porter.
Nice. What's your next project? Detlef?
My next project is a Kentucky Common.
Oh,
That'd be nice.
fun.
Yeah.
Steve?
Mine is a American Pale Ale, but I'm going to brew it with 2 pounds. I'm going to do a 5-gallon batch, 2 pounds of masa, harina masa.
Oh, yeah.
So a little kind of a cream ale, but I'm going to use the masa instead and see what that does.
Fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it was really nice. Thanks for inviting me again. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks again to Detlef and to Steve. I'm looking forward to seeing how Detlef's chiller system comes together and tasting how his beers evolve with the new techniques. Don't forget to send your disaster show stories. If you have brewing questions, disaster show stories, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com or fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. So until next time, until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dotson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.